Welcome to the new show. Creative Universe Checkpoint Earth presents Union News. Do Christ or yoga help with union? Let's talk about that, because I was like, yeah, these are actually two entrances in spiritual work that are well known and have a huge societal base, a social base all over the world. Although Christ is more Western and yoga is more Eastern. But together that's almost the whole world. So do they actually help with twin flame union? And yeah, what can I share about that in this little format here? Because there's, of course, this could be an entire course, of course, these topics. And if they collide with the idea of twin flame union, yes or no. But we're gonna keep it just short and touch on this topic a little bit today. The real twin flame work happens on the inside, and then it will guaranteed manifest outside. In this series of lives, I share about what that means for my union consciousness process to inspire you to find yours. It serves as the source of your daily or almost daily twin flame news. Today on the show, do Christ or yoga help with union? Let me know where you are watching from. I'm always curious. And you might want to add in the comments a heart when you want union. So let's first have a little bit of background in some twin flame wisdom, and let's feel that out together. And then we can go a little deeper in the actual topic of today as well. The first part of that is the twin flame union consciousness wisdom of the day. Let's look at that. Your false twin flame can teach you exactly what you need to know to finally sink definitively into your true twin flame's arms. Your false twin flame can teach you exactly what you need to know to finally sink definitively into your true twin flame's arms. There's lessons, because otherwise you would already be in union with your twin flame. And there would be no question, and you would be happily ever after and feel complete in your heart and feel terribly healed and stuff. You would have the family with them together, or the love relationship with them together, or the mission with them together, and everything at the same time with them together that you want. You would live in abundance, in twin flame abundance. And that's not so yet. That's why you're here, I understand. So there is a situation in which you can foresee that in the future you will sink into your twin flame's arms, but you're not yet there. Some people have a false twin flame while they work themselves via the twin flame inner work towards their true union. Some people don't have a false twin flame, but they nevertheless need to learn some sort of lesson to go to their true union and have that be an harmonious union. And have it be complete and good and building and accumulating and together and not separate anymore, never again separate, ever. So whatever it is, there is lessons. And did you know that it's actually a good idea to have a false twin flame? And so that's maybe a new perspective that you never thought about. It is actually a good idea to have a false twin flame because, well, no matter what, there's some sort of lessons to learn. Otherwise, you would already be in twin flame union. And guess what? The false twin flame will just absolutely make it beyond clear what that lesson is for you. It slaps you almost in the face so hard with that lesson that you can't miss it. And when you then learn it, you will be in the arms of your true twin flame soon enough. That's guaranteed. So it's actually not something bad if you have a false twin flame. It can be very good. It can be the blessing of a lifetime, of eternity, the blessing of eternity, because they just make it so clear. Because, of course, the false twin flame does look like the twin flame in so many ways, because otherwise you wouldn't see them for the true twin flame. I understand. But then there's something off, and then there might come a problem. And with the false twin flame, that is incredibly clear what that is. It will be incredibly clear. And that's exactly the thing you need to learn to go directly, to dive directly into your true twin flame's arms. That's how it's designed by the divine. So, yeah, be happy when you have a false twin flame. Don't worry about that in that sense. I had a false twin flame. Most everyone has a false twin flame. And needs to move through that experience, needs to move through that period to land in the true twin flame's arms. So it's also nothing to be ashamed about. It's okay. It's a very effective method, in a sense, that the universe, God, organizes for you so that it will work out. So, and when we translate this situation and this wisdom to the idea of this whole episode of the show today, then we see that it is about, does Christ, like Jesus Christ of the Christian church, or yoga, like the body and energy science that you can execute from the East, from Vedic background, do they actually help with union? How does that work? Well, maybe we can say, well, guess what? It doesn't even really matter, because they are both spiritual paths that can bring you deep. And in the way they perhaps haven't brought you yet to your true twin flame, they might be seen as some sort of the false religion, but that sounds a little bit too bad, actually. Like the false twin flame. But then they can also teach you, if this analogy is true. I'm just sort of trying that out right now. They can sort of teach you the lesson that will bring you into, let's say, the true twin flame union religion or twin flame union spirituality. And we're not now going to go in a discussion about what is the difference between spirituality and religion. And no, one is bad and one is good. And I'm not really so much interested in that question on the whole. I have to be honest about that. Because they're all spiritual paths. Religions are more like the outer form that we recognize as religions, perhaps. But all world religions also have an inner path that is like the esoteric inner culture of that religion. That is the spiritual path, nevertheless. And that's just included in what that religion entails. So that's not different from a more, I don't know, like a spiritual path with a teacher, or a spiritual path that is not connected to a major religion. They can bring you far, but all spiritualities and religions, they sort of lack this idea that they all can be unified in this new ascended place where Twin Flame Union lives, that we're all invited to at this moment from whichever religion or spiritual path or culture you might come, to step into that new chapter that is like the next level, the next chapter of any spiritual path or religion. That's Twin Flame Union. That's stepping into the depth of ascension, and in that, meeting your twin flame there equally and choosing that to experience this ascension journey together with them early on. And that can be experienced and chosen as like the next level from any religion or spiritual path. And that's the leading edge of spirituality that like we have right now, that you could step into. And when you look at it like that, then it's like the new sort of top layer or deep place that you could step into from any known path or religion. But in itself, it could also be seen as a spirituality or religion in itself. Twin Flame Union. That then again can be seen as the sort of new top layer or something of any spirituality and religion. The new leading edge of where they all culminate into like this coming together point, which is what the word union means. And it is also what the word yoga means. And I mean that very literal. The word yoga literally means, translates into union. The English word union is the Sanskrit word yoga. It's the same. Christ actually means the same thing. Although it maybe could be said to be like a sort of personification of that coming together point, that union point. It's more like, see it as a person that where we are all unionized, that place, that light, if you want to call it like that. And that light is a person. So that's Christ. Christos. And that's like an alternative way to seeing this very same thing. So maybe we already sort of resolved the whole problem right here. Well, let's leave it here for a moment and see a little further what it brings us. So we have the ACIM lesson of the day, and that is the A Course in Miracles lesson. And that is next. And that is actually, that comes from the Christ and the Christ consciousness, which is union consciousness. And that's important when we talk about it right here in the twin flame context, because it is Christ consciousness is union consciousness, and union consciousness is what you want to embody because you want to come in twin flame union. Right? So if you shift your consciousness to that union consciousness, then your twin flame union will be more easy. But union is yoga. And A Course in Miracles brings you towards union consciousness. And it is the underlying philosophy of all Christ masters, literally. And it's also the Christ masters that told me that it is in this book. And altogether, this whole book is a very thick book. It is a yoga of the mind, not of the body. So, although it also talks about the body, it's a yoga of the mind. Anyway, so I think I'll explain a little bit more about what that means later. But A Course in Miracle lesson of the day. So it's actually this is from the Christ, you know. So I guess it's a good place to talk about the lesson of the day. 167. There is only one life, and I share that with God. There are not different kinds of life, for life is like the truth. It does not have degrees. It is the one condition in which all that God created share. Like all his thoughts, it has no opposite. There's no death because what God created shares his life. There's no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There's no death because the Father and the Son are one. In this world, there appears to be a state that is life's opposite. You call it death. Yet we have learned that the idea of death makes forms. It is the idea, the one idea, which underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy. It is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy. All sorrow, loss, anxiety, and suffering and pain, even a little sigh of weariness, a slight discomfort, or the merest frown, acknowledge death, and thus deny you live. There's one life, and that I share with God. There's more to this lesson, and we won't read it here today, but I will publish it in the show notes. I will put the show notes in my Patreon. You can become a member there and read them. From every show, live show, I have show notes, and they have all the texts that I read and more, and source links and whatnot. So really awesome. And when you become a member and you can read that, there's a lot more for you there to enjoy. And I even give away huge deals for people to become members, and you support the show, and you invest in your own journey and in the success of it, because you invest in Divine Mother. So if you would like to become a member, you would be very welcome. I would be very grateful. Find the link for that in the description box below or in the pinned comment. There's one life, and that I share with God. Well, both Christ and yoga are about that. They are about there's one life, and that I share with God. Because, well, here's the thing. Like Christianity and the church is a lot connected with Christ. Of course, that's how it went for 2,000 years, right? That's where the history placed all this stuff in about Christ. But it's something that is alive. And it means the one life. And you share it with God. It means that you are that. You are the Christ. Now, the church has taken that idea of you are the Christ and brought it into an educational context that says we transpose this to the personality level. Because this is like the inner truth of what Christ is, right? It's you, it's the you that is the deepest you, that is the same as union, that is where you are a twin flame, etc. That's the esoteric meaning of what Christ is. And the church doesn't mean for you to embody that, but as a means to teach you that they took that idea and they transposed it to the idea of personality, to the personality realm. They sort of transposed it to the realm of the world to make it understandable for you. And that's why they say Jesus Christ is the man outside of you and it's all about him, it's not about you, because they have transposed that esoteric idea, the mystical idea, to make it understandable in a personality sense. So it is about the person Jesus Christ, and it's about the person Mary, and it is about the person God that's outside of you, to have an educational model. And indeed, if you believe unconditionally in that model, you have eventually the same result in your inner transformation than what you will have from the direct educational idea of this is an esoteric inner mystical truth, you are the Christ. That's more of a directness, you could say. So that's what they did with the church, with this idea. But it is all about there's one life. And it is the Christ, which esoterically, mystically means it is you. It is union. It is where you are a twin flame, which exoterically means in the church, in the story of the church, it is all about Jesus Christ. And it's only about him, not about other people, other gods. You need to surrender only to him. And he saved you. And when you believe that fully with all your might and you surrender into that, the result is the same. The result meaning the inner change inside of you that is needed for experiencing union that helps with coming into twin flame union. Although we all need to choose to go to the new leading edge of it to integrate the twin flame and go to the new sort of top layer of this religion. There's one life, says ACIM. And this is this oneness. And what does oneness mean? It means union. And what does union mean? It is the translation of the word yoga. So when we look at the idea of yoga, you know, what you see is that yoga is saying things about the body and the energy body, actually more about the energy body, but that is all meant to be about union. So the idea is that in the Western world, the idea of yoga has become known as asanas, or in other words, hatha yoga, or in other words, it looks like gymnastics. That is not about gymnastics, it's more about the energy generated by these, let's say, gymnastics. But it has become known as this bodily gymnastics. And that is the same problem, actually, as the Christian church. Because the Christian church made as we just discussed, they made an educational model that you should strictly follow to go to the result that is the same, that is about transposing it to the outside level. And with yoga, some sort of the same thing happened. It's also because the Western society is very outside, exoteric oriented. So also yoga, we see, the Western world sees it as the form of gymnastics. And maybe a little deeper, like the form of the energy work that is meant with it. But the actual meaning of yoga, of these asanas, of these hatha yoga, of these postures of the body, of this energy work that is done through it, is that through harmonizing yourself through these postures, or through whatever posture. Also, sitting is a posture. Sitting doing nothing, meditating, that's also a posture. The idea is that through doing that, you need to come into direct relationship with God, with the divine, with the Christ, with union, with the fact that you are a twin flame, with your creator, with how you are created as a twin flame. It should create union. That's the word yoga. And when it doesn't create yoga, then you have actually not done yoga. When it doesn't create the union consciousness experience inside of you, then it's actually not yoga. You're just doing gymnastics, and you're confused because that's just what became known in the Western world. Like, oh yeah, we're sitting in this, like, how do they say it? The dog and the this and the that. That's like a bodily posture. Isn't that good for your health and your body? Oh, sure. But it's not about that. The meaning of it is to come in connection with the union consciousness. And if you're not connected to the union consciousness, you're not doing yoga. You're just stretching your body, which does not mean that is not a great experience, or it feels healthy or whatever, of course, but that's not what it's supposed to be about. I think there is a lot of gymnastics in yoga, and there's very, very, very little yoga that is actually yoga. But which is the same problem with the churchology of the Christian church that we spoke about before, because there are enormous amounts of people going to churches in the Western world and in other parts of the world, all the world, right? But they're not in Christ consciousness. Very, very, very little people do that, actually. So, although the possibility is for everyone to do that, for sure. So, and also for yoga, it is that you're just going to have the possibility to go deeper in your union experience by approaching things maybe from a body asana standpoint, maybe from a more energetic standpoint. And then also there are many forms of yoga that are purely mental, that are purely, let's say, meditational. There's really not much going on with the body at all. Although you always have a body, besides when you would be dead, and you always have it in a certain posture. Also now, this is my yoga posture right now. I'm just sitting on a chair. That is my posture. So that's my yoga posture, right? So it's always a posture of some sort. There's many forms of yoga that really don't do many gymnastics at all. And that's logic. And it's understandable, because it is not about the posture. It's about yoga. That means you should reach union consciousness. That's what it's about. And you reach that by just opening yourself to reach it. And it doesn't really matter if you start that process from trying to surrender into that from a body perspective, or you start that process to surrender into that from an energetic perspective, or you start the process to surrender into that from a mental perspective. It doesn't really matter that much, you see. So that's why there are multiple forms of yoga, because the core is to reach that union consciousness, and that's what it's about, because that's what the word yoga means. There is one life, and that I share with God. ACIM lesson 167. So that sentence says union. So that sentence says yoga. So that sentence means Christ. Because when you are there, you are in union, and then you are the Christ. And when you genuinely are there, you see and you understand, and your insight will be that the rest is outside. The rest is superficial. The rest is feelings that are not perfect joy. The rest is form, and therefore it will once die, and therefore death. And that was in the lesson of ACIM today. So does yoga lead to twin flame union? Well, it can lead you to union consciousness if you do it correctly. And that is helpful. And then you step into that deepening or that new layer, the new leading edge of yoga, that is twin flame union spirituality. And you choose to go live there completely and to keep on ascending by keeping living there completely. And you choose to do that together with your twin flame early on in that journey, already now, and not later when you've completed it. And that is the new layer of twin flame union that is possible. So you could also step into that from yoga, from union, because it leads to union consciousness. And that helps. And then you can make that new step with the grace of Divine Mother, and you have to choose that. So let's leave that here for a little bit and go to the next part, because I also chose a segment of one of my own books. And yeah, I just opened it as if it was an oracle. And this was what came out. Using the ultimate strategy is advisable to support yourself from the now into the future that often feels so unknown and insecure. However, that is an illusion, but knowing the human psychology and the fact you are still on your way towards states of being where it is more easily accessible. So there's more, but just to give an explanation about, there is the ultimate strategy. Now, this actually is a concept of mine that I use in my educational methodology. And it actually is pretty yogic, pretty much yoga. And it's also pretty much Christ consciousness. Because I use the idea of, let's say, energetic yoga, which is also inside the idea of hatha yoga, which means the postures. I used that idea and I saw like the traditional energy centers in the body, as related to the body, of the yoga philosophy. And then I realigned that with the idea that we are going to not only want to do yoga, but we want to relate it to the next level of yoga, the next level that means the leading edge of spirituality, the fact that we can go to our true twin flame and harmonious twin flame union and keep on ascending together in that, the new level. So I took that idea of having, 7 energy points, and then I added the earth, 8, and like heaven, let's say, above your head, 9. So I have 9 energy points. So I sort of altered, changed, however you want to call it, transformed, listened to Divine Mother and was inspired to take a 9 energy point system that looks like yoga, that looks like energetic yoga, for sure. I mean, I'm not stupid, of course, and I was trained in that, and etc. By my first spiritual teacher, which is now like 25 years ago that I met him. Can you believe? But anyway, let's not go there. That's another topic for another day. And I created this 9-point energy system because I wanted it to be aligned and alive for twin flame union, for that next level. That's why I did that. So we have 9 energy points. And then Divine Mother inspired me to present a way to move through the 9 energy points in another order. So let's say there's a flow, life flows through it, like, life flows through it. How do you say that? Well, exactly that, like energy flows through it. But then I presented a new order. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., but it's 1, 2, 8, 4, 9, 3, etc. You see? And that's an order that makes it, well, there's like a transformation when you take that new order. There's like a healing when you take that new order. There's like an acceleration when you take that new order going towards union and going towards the heart, and then going towards the communication of that and relating heaven with earth and relating the twin flames to each other. And there's a certain working and a sort of an acceleration that happens through that new order of the numbers of those energy points. And that new order I called the ultimate strategy. Well, there we are. And why is it also Christ related? Well, because it was actually Divine Mother who I got to know through the person and the idea of Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. And it was her that inspired me to take this yogic idea and transform it to the new layer of the next level, sort of above yoga. So that's the Christ idea is fully inside of that as well. And the Christ idea fully, Jesus and Mary fully supported me in making this fit for the new leading edge of twin flames spirituality. So there we are. Using the ultimate strategy is advisable to support yourself and this and that. You can use this as a tool for spiritually sound building on the emotional and relationship and on the money and business level. On the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. It gives you a grip in the gripless open space of potential to be able to move forward without reverting back to ego patterns and old habits. It is as organic as it is a plan, and it is as healing as it is logic. You can use any number of elements that you see that you will need to go through or want to execute. Make a list of the 9 most important of them and regroup them in 9 steps to take and put them in an order that seems intuitive and logically, preferably both, sound. And then change to the ultimate strategy order of the numbers and start working from there. So now I'm not even talking about the 9 energy points in your body, but I'm talking about why don't you apply this to the idea of your project or your relationship or what have you. And you think about 9 steps that you want to make. You put them on paper as 9 different steps, and you number them 1 through 9, and then you make a next list next to it, and then you change the numbers in that ultimate strategy order. And guess what? Think about it in that order. Execute it in that order, and maybe it'll help you transform and quicken. Let's see, what does it say in the book? Should you be at number 8, at position 3, and it feels differently, who knows, maybe you can rework your strategy, but mostly this will simply carry you through with ease. It now takes only one choice to follow your inner order strategy, and your creation will unfold. The points refer to the energy points in the body that are also loaded with the healing in the source connected astral realm present on Earth. These can be meditated on, assist in healing, and so on in itself. At this place, we will zoom in on them as elements in the particularly advised ultimate strategy order for an effective and efficient process towards a desired result. Well, what about Twin Flame Union as their desired result? The ultimate mix of business and creativity, in other words, money and love, because it cannot only be used for both topics separately and identically, but specifically because it does so when applying it to one of the suggested soul-related topics at the same time. Abundance on the gold consciousness scale will be felt throughout and manifest itself as a result. What happens on the strategy steps in gold consciousness development that will be unconscious and automatic in the healing as procedures. And here comes what happens. First, we have the creation order, 1 through 9. 1. Change of source of energy and consciousness to the divine. 2. Divine mother or divine feminine healing. 3. Anchoring the divine feminine emotionally. 4. Twin flame healing on the human and co-creation level. 5. A. Elicit new cause, goal. 5B. Elicit new effect, result. 6. Gold consciousness, 360-degree competent being. 7. Anchoring divine masculine financially. 8. Father and divine masculine healing. 9. Mission healing into your union and divine identity. And then we change the order and you get this creative order. 1. Change of source of energy and consciousness to the divine. 2. Mother or divine feminine healing. 8. Father or divine masculine healing. 4. Twin flame healing on the human and co-creation level. 9. Mission healing into your union and divine identity. 3. Anchoring the divine feminine emotionally. 7. Anchoring the divine masculine financially. 5A. Elicit new cause, goal. 5B. Elicit new effect, result. 6. Gold consciousness, 360-degree competent being. All right. Well, we're going to keep it here. It is from the Emerald Itinerary on page 279 to 80 in the paper book called Twin Flames, Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love. And you can buy it on Amazon by putting my name there or the name of this book, and you will find it and you can buy it and let it be sent to your house. Isn't that interesting? So I'm actually combining Christ and yoga in my own method. And that's logic and true. And I also have both traditional forms of Christian things and yogic things in my background. I spent a couple decades, on both of them. or maybe you could say like over a decade to yoga, and I spent over a decade on Christianity. And I have to say, well, I see myself as standing individually, independently, having integrated both aspects. In society, in social atmosphere, which sort of doesn't matter, but I think it's interesting to say, Christianity is sort of accepted, but also sort of not. Yoga is sort of accepted nowadays, but also sort of not in other realms, in other places. And both socially and societally are misunderstood. People think, oh, she's a Christian, so, well, she's old-fashioned, and she doesn't get it, because we all need to be, I don't know what we need to be nowadays. What's hip? What's trendy? Well, not that, or something. And they think, oh, so that's about going to church, but not having any transformative consciousness change, right? Well, that's stupid. That's what people think when you talk about Christ. Perhaps. And like yoga is also misunderstood socially, societally, because then it's like, oh, okay, so she knows a little bit about gymnastics. Oh, cool. Cool. But hey, what is the transformative power for twin flames? Or we don't know. Yeah. And then you're sort of a gymnastics teacher or something, which is just nonsense. Well, that's not even what that word means. And that's not what I do, what I did, what I was taught at all. So that also, it creates misunderstandings. But then within the tradition of both, there's actually loads and loads of deeply healing, deeply esoteric, deeply mystical truth that is very useful and actually looks exactly like each other when you look at what kind of things are pointed out inside these philosophies and what they mean in the organic transformation of spirituality that spirituality promises to give to you individually as a human being. So, yeah, I find that sort of interesting. So, but I have, woven these things that I did with my first spiritual teacher, which was like a yogic teacher, and like what I did with a Christ consciousness, with the church, with Christianity, and with the new Christ Masters on Earth, which are 14, that are here to roll out twin flame union consciousness. They are. And I have literally personally worked with them in the flesh. And I'm here to also really, bring that forward. And that has a strong, Christ consciousness, Christ Masters background. But they're from the Christ soul family. And that actually includes all religions. So because there's also like Krishna, and there's also like Buddha, and they belong to the same soul family. So in that sense, Jesus belongs to the same soul family. Mary does. Mary Magdalene, but also Mary, the mother of Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, and I also spent like over a decade on all that and on all of that. And now and meanwhile, and specifically now, I have integrated all that together in like this the thing that I stand for, right? Very interesting. So let's see. One of the ways that came together for me was by creating a card deck. And yeah, we're just gonna pick a card together with Divine Mother. That always helps me. Well, let's pick this one. Let's not make it very difficult or anything. I saw that one, so there it is. And I created this card deck, the Union and Mission cards, and they're also an expression of Christ and yoga. So here we go. And isn't that interesting? It's like Christ and yoga, like a Venn diagram. And here they are together in the middle. And what did I say? It's like the new twin flame union religion on top of things, or like, and also like the amalgamation that I made in my educational methodology, right? So interesting that we got this card with this Physica Pisces. That's actually how this form is called. That's just the name of that geometric form. It's like two intersecting circles and they touch the middle point of each other. That's how it's meant to be read, at least. So the card says to pull out essential motivation without frills. It is the Coach Innovator Y D1.3. So it is an essential innovation that is not here to be all fluffy and stuff, but it's just an innovation that is needed and necessary. And there it is, without extras, without being extra. Now, that's certainly what we talk about all the time. Like Twin Flame Union is just, it's just not here to be like all special and full of frills. And no, it's just here because it's the next level. And we're all here for it now because we're there now. We can make that step now. And it's not like, oh, let's be extra, let's be a twin flame. No, it's just normal and logic, and it's just what you are. But now that opens up to reach that and make it come true. So let's see. I need to open the card deck's booklet on my screen, and there it is. And then I can read for you the text that belongs to it. And we will read the union text, and the mission part I will put in my show notes on Patreon. So the title is The Source of Value. Union. All progress on the path towards union consciousness comes from the inner eye of perception that is rooted in truth. Things are not always as they seem. You may have already sorted that out from life experiences. The one that on paper looked like the ideal spouse is in truth, he came out to be a liar and then unmasked himself as a false twin flame. The one that seemingly showed only socially wrong moves for many years came out to be the one and only true twin flame. Well, for instance, right? This is but an example. Oh, there it is. And we all know situations in which someone acts nice, but playing your friend came out to be for their own gain. And a real friendship that is not. Or we know someone that is neatly married and does everything how it socially is prescribed, only to live in truth of the soul as a person that uses a spouse to pay for her life necessities in a way that is legally sound and give her everything she desires. Besides that one too. These are just examples. Not everything is what it seems, and you come to a truthful viewpoint by activating your truth roots below and your inner eye above. The activation can be done energetically on the backside of your body where the heart is. So think your upper back and relax that area. This will bring forward the soft, eternal truth that will be disclosed for you. Living along the lines of this truth makes it so that you create the biggest effect in the sustainability of the soul. You are the most happy and stimulate the people around you to become that too, even when it seemingly goes against their grain. You connect with the innovative power that connects to the soft yet firm energetic truth of the spiritual heart. This sometimes seemingly goes against social rules. You are able to follow this line of value until the true source of your value surfaces that you can endlessly share with your twin flame. Do Christ or yoga help with union? They're certainly here to inspire you to find that place within where true peace lives. You can do that through the idea of the Christ, which you are, and it is outside of you, also personified by Jesus the Christ, very famous in the Christian churches. You can certainly do so by doing one form or another form of yoga, which is any means that brings you into yoga, which means in union consciousness, in the inside of your heart. It doesn't matter if that is energetic or a body posture or mental yoga. These can help you go to that place that is Christ and or union, and it is the same place. It just has a different name. And in Christ, it may sound like it is personified, and in union, it sounds more like it is the relationship between you and Source. But it points to the same thing. That's one thing. It is a place where you are relating to God. And that is all the same place for all of us, and it is your actual identity. So it's also who you are. You are the Christ. It's a relationship, and you are that relationship. It's union, and you are the Christ. And that is really on point. When you integrate that, you have the right mentality. You have the right consciousness. That'll bring your true twin flame forward in your life when you choose so. And that'll make them stick around you in a romance, in a mission, magnetizing your abundance to you, to the both of you, to the core of your union. That's what that is. That's what can happen there. That's what Christ and yoga mean. That's union. They both mean union. And union means you are a twin flame right there, because you can't be anything else, because that's just the nature of what you are. You are that union. That's actually like the person, if you want to say person. You and them together is sort of one person in that perspective. But then at the same time, doing the Christ thing and doing the yoga thing brings you closer to making that union consciousness come true. But you really need to step into the union consciousness and choose to live that ongoingly forever after, ascending, how they say, more and more. That means transforming more and more, and keep on transforming more and more. And you have to choose to do that together right now with your true twin flame, early on, instead of at the very end of the complete transformation. And that's like an extra blessing on top of it. And that's why twin flame union spirituality in sort of instead of Christ spirituality or yoga spirituality is some sort of the new place that takes over and is all-encompassing and takes inside of itself the Christ spirituality and the yoga spirituality. The Christ spirituality is often relatively more about the fact that you need to connect with the divine. And then everything will come in order inside of you. And the yoga spirituality is often more about the energetic space as an in-between step between you're here as a physical body in the world and the divine. And that in-between step of the energy body needs to be harmonized. And you do that by letting the influence in of the divine inside that energy body. And that becomes so that you eventually experience that you are connected with the divine and that that's all there is and ever was. So where the Christ tradition more points to, well, all these energy points inside of yourself will become rightly ordered and healed. Don't you worry, but just repair the relationship with God. That's all. And yoga relatively focuses more on, okay, you just open yourself for that in-between step of the energy body, and then you want to have that harmonized. So please open towards source, the universe, God, so that can happen. And then you'll experience that you are actually that divine background of things. And you experience that right here, right now, with your energy body, with everything that you are as one. So that can be like another taste, some sort of another taste in life, another taste in approach, in spirituality, in educational method. But then again, it's actually also the same. But then again, you actually want to go to like the new top part, which is the twin flame union spirituality. And then that's going to be accessible actually from any path. But I love the idea of the Christ and of yoga, and to see them as both, as like leading to the same thing, but yet sort of still coming from a different place, because they are like huge part of like the world, you know, where they come from. It's like Christianity is more like the Western world and yoga is more like the Eastern world, but it's also become known now in the West, although they think that it's a little bit more of a gymnastics, which is actually not what that is supposed to be as a focus. But I understand that that aspect of what yoga can be, can feel good and whatnot, and there's no problem with that. And like Christianity is actually over the whole world. I like that idea of like East and West, and that they just actually are about the same thing, and they both lead to like the new leading edge of spirituality, that is twin flame union. But you could certainly see that twin flame union spirituality as a sort of a new top layer on any religion or spirituality. And then you want to integrate that. And then you can still make use for the integration of that, when you make that come true, from, for instance, the tradition of Christianity or the tradition of yogic Vedic backgrounds. Why not? It's possible. And you can also use my work because it's actually a new educational method that has integrated yoga and has integrated the Christ and Christian things, and has created a new educational method that actually supports that new level of twin flame union, the level of spirituality of twin flame union. And that's what you can come do with me, of course. And you can do that with me in the year group course that has the doors opened right now. And that's going to be called Twin Flame Abundance Now. Well, it's not going to be called, it is called like that. And you can start right now. There are 3 options within that program, and you can check out which one of those 3 fits you best. And then you can buy that, and we'll just make sure that you become cozy in your spot, in your place in the program real soon. And yeah, you're going to really work with that sort of East meets West in the middle in a new way connected to Twin Flame spirituality method. And yeah, we're going to experience that together from now on forward. And you will be able to make great strides real soon in your progress towards your true twin flame and keeping them. And therefore coming into harmonious union consciousness, because that's really what it leads to. So yeah, that's totally what I can welcome you in. And you will also be able to go through 24 yearly topics with workbook and like theory. And that is like the yoga of that new spirituality of twin flame union, going through all these topics, because they will be healing and sexuality and twin flame union and money and business and writing and meditation and creativity and, well, name it. And they will be also very practical and daily life topics, because that's what it really comes down to in the end. You will need to change your consciousness, but then you also want to make that come true in all these like segments of life, like places of daily life, like places of consciousness. And you want to revisit all these places of your practical life and bring them on the union level. So I think that's very important to do, because all these places in your life will change. They will get another color. And with color, I mean like another way of approaching it, and another way of feeling it that aligns with the idea of coming into the consciousness change that is necessary to be permanently with your true twin flame. So that's why I created this for you, and I took a couple decades to do that, and I hope that it's really, that it makes you happy, and that's what I created it all for. So yeah, you can start doing that right now. And did you know, by the way, that I do give a webinar that really approaches some secret information about the 2 most heard of twin flame, well, problems that you might be stuck inside. That is, they don't communicate with me anymore, and they have another. And we're going to tackle these 2 twin flame problems in the webinar. And later on in the webinar, I will also be talking again about the year group program, Twin Flame Abundance Now. You can also ask questions about that. So that might be just very handy for you and good to know. And you would be very welcome in the webinar. There are only very limited places, and some are also already taken. So please, when you want to be in the webinar, do so right now. I would only need your name and mail address so that you can get the link when it takes place, and you can click it and just be inside of it. And it takes place at this moment when I record this on Saturday upcoming. That's the 21st of June, 2025. So there you go. I hope to see you inside the webinar. And we're gonna right now leave it here. There's a lot more to say about Christ and yoga. And I think that we will be talking about these aspects more in other kinds of videos, other kinds of live videos, because I want to actually excavate more about some aspects in videos, because I have made Jesus and Mary Magdalene videos before in which I channel them. And I also have made, of course, Divine Mother videos, which is coming to me via Mother Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ. And the interesting thing about that is that I have been speaking about, well, like Jesus is just a teacher, and he was in harmonious union with his true twin flame, which was Mary Magdalene, and she was just a teacher, and she just had in her heart to be with him and to be a teacher herself also. And you know, they in a way haven't, you know, done this 2000 years of Christianity. They were just teachers that collected a group around them, and they were teaching them directly, which you of course can read in the New Testament, in the Bible, about some instances of how that went. And you know, he was just a teacher, and there are also other teachers, and they can also be very cool. But he went very deep into this consciousness shift that spirituality is really about, and he's an example for that. And he's like, he did reach something unique in that going inner, and that makes him stand out. But the whole idea of what, like, the power and the powerful force that like ignited the fact that that this whole church built itself up over 2000 years, and all the traditions that came to exist inside of that was more to bring an educational system forward that would be able to survive when he was not there. So it's in a sense like another beast almost, but of course the essence of the teaching should be brought across. But they chose to have like an educational system inside of that in a sense worked differently a little bit. And that is also because, or like this situationally, that was also because the whole ignition of the creation of that is not only Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mary, his mother, and Joseph, the spouse of Mary, but also, well, that's already like two twin flame pairs, right? But also John the Baptist, and also Paul. And they sort of created this whole ignition to make that one happen, you know, the Christianity. And I have been told in my experiential field that there's actually more to explore about what Paul has to say about Christianity, because in a sense, I saw this somewhere, I thought it was funny that someone published the idea of that Christianity is maybe more, or well, at least a little bit, Paulanity. It's not Christianity, but Paulanity, because Paul had a lot of influence on how that worked. And I think we're also going to like channel Paul, because he came to me, and these are things like I never wanted that or like searched for it or whatever. And I think we're going to learn more about that real soon, and we're also going to potentially like research more. Well, of course, but I won't be doing everything in YouTube videos. There's also going to be pieces that I like sort of preserve for like workshops and when you come to work with me and whatnot. But I think we're also gonna revisit, well, of course, how all of that actually was only the setup. Almost like the whole of Christianity was only the setup to push us forward towards the 14 Christ Masters that are on earth right now, and also that form, and the ones that form the Master Christ, and also and the fact that they are here to promote the idea of the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union, and that is where we are, like in Christianity right now. And that is the new thing that we have to learn and move towards that one. And we'll sort of talk more about that one too, because I think that's, that's what it culminates to. And that's what, like Jesus was just a man that walked the earth, and he was a teacher, and he was a very good teacher, and he went incredibly deep. And that was his quality. But this whole setup with the multiple twin flame pairs, and with John the Baptist and Paul, and then Christianity, and that just sort of was only to like push up where we are now, in like this revival of, well, what we all need to achieve right now, that is stepping into the possibility of this new leading edge of spirituality. And God wants us to all have our true twin flames in harmonious twin flame union. That's what it comes down to. And that's what it actually was pushing forward towards. And it's like a chapter that, like, traditional Christianity looks actually a lot like something that is really supportive for it. And at the same time, it can't contain that, because it's some sort of a new chapter entirely. Very interesting experience. So I think we're going to in future like check out more of that, and we're also of course going to revisit more about the 14 Christ Masters and whatnot. Yeah, I guess so. And yoga, I think we're also going to explore more about yoga. But I have also on my YouTube channel, on the live page, the live tab, there are a whole bunch of live videos of last year, 2024, in which we talk about different things, but also all the time close off with like a yogic experience, meditation with energy points. And that's really something that you could do. And yeah, that's really cool, because that is actually the way I translated the yogic idea for twin flames in my new way. And you can also do the twin flame quiz, and I will put the link after the recording is up below in the description box of this video, and also in the pinned comment, and also in the show notes on Patreon. And when you do the quiz, that's just a really cool twin flame union quiz. Did you know that I have that? I will publish it. I will put the link in. And when you all the way go to the end of the link of the quiz, then you go to the email that is being sent to you from the quiz. And then in the email that is sent to you at the end of the quiz, you see a link. You click that, and you come on a page. And there I give away the link to a very special video that is more than 3 hours long, of this meditational feeling of the energy points, yogic feeling, but then in a new way as presented in the educational method that I created with Divine Mother for twin flames, sort of yoga for twin flames, right? And I have collected all these parts of feeling together through the energy points in this meditational way, in this healing way, in that video together for you. So you could take a day off and like go through that entire video in maybe 3 parts or something, and have felt through an enormous amount of inner experiences that are deeply healing for you. So if you want that, do the quiz, go to the result of the quiz, have the email sent to you, and then click the link in the email, and you will go to the page where you can find that beautiful resource of more than 3 hours of meditational twin flame yogic experiences. About yoga. So my first spiritual teacher was actually a yogi, but it was in a sense very meditational yoga and very much, I mean, he was a true spiritual teacher, so he was trying to make you make steps in your personal and spiritual development so that you can integrate your relationship with source. But we also did more well-known aspects of yoga were integrated in that as well, like energy work and body work were integrated in his package also. And I worked like 2 decades with him and people that were teaching for him. And yeah, that sort of broke off when I was sent by God towards the Christ Masters. But then, of course, it also never broke off because after that whole experience, I was only ever invited to integrate both the yogic experiences of my first spiritual teacher and the twin flame harmonious union experiences of the Christ Masters, and the whole Christian background that was actually coming with that was integrated there as well. And to bring it all together in this completely new place where we just do actually the new level of twin flame union spirituality, but we just stand on the shoulders of giants. That's what that means, I guess. And that's really, really, really the case. And yeah, potentially we'll also excavate more about the yogic parts in the future. It is a beautiful side of things to look more into the energy experiences that can give you a refined mirror of where you're standing in your inner peace and where it is not yet, etc. And that can be a direct mirror of where you're standing in your twin flame inner work, and you need to do that inner work to become more whole as a twin flame. And then as a result of the fact that you are as a twin flame connected to your union space and they are belonging to that union space, they will heal too, because you belong to the same consciousness. And they will be attracted to you when that energetic work also harmonizes much more. So yeah, we could do more about that. But yeah, just like the rest, that is of course also all completely when you come to work with me, because this is all beautiful and valuable, beyond valuable. But the actual real thing, of course, happens when you step into the world behind the YouTube screen and you become a student, so that you know. So that you know. I choose now to explore the most complete depths of my being. I surrender my mind completely to God that He may bring it into perfect harmony with His. I invite God now into my very core that He may make it right, returning it perfectly to its state of eternal wholeness. I trust in the power of divine love. I choose to see the truth that it is universally accepted by all. At the core of every child of God, including me, we're all one with our twin flames and God. It is safe for me to open completely to love now. My love, love is not elusive unless you command it so. But don't worry, you could not choose against love itself because you are love itself, manifest as you eternally. If you command it to leave, love does not leave because it cannot possibly leave, but you leave love by the power of your command. And it is by the same power you can command yourself to return to love, and it is so revealing to you that love never left. It is safe to let go. It is safe to relax into love's eternal presence. Love is calling you home. And I'll be there waiting. I have always been here with you. And I always will be. Your next step. Don't forget to actually start the process and jump on the team. Actively come to our community, start doing the correct inner work, and ask the support you deserve through our services so that we can start a relationship that will lead you to harmonious union and beyond. When you're not in the relationship, you're not on the team, and you can't expect the results I am speaking of and in fact guaranteeing. Currently, you are cordially invited to step into the group year course experience. This is the Twin Flame Mystery School you have been waiting for. I am looking for 9 people to step into this abundant opportunity. Twin Flame Abundance Now has opened its doors. Start giving so that you can receive. The door closes as soon as I have my 9 people that will be successful in their journey. But first, we have many festivities together. For instance, the Twin Flame webinar next up at Saturday, June the 21st. tinyurl.com/twinflameunionsolutions webinar or the link below. And of course, look at the Twin Flame Year Group course of your dreams on the website creativeuniverse.earth/abundance now or the link below. The show notes. You can, however, support this ongoing live Twin Flame news as such, make it possible as co-creator. Without your participation and financial gifts, I cannot do anything because we need to have an energetic and verbal visual exchange for things to make sense and to know what I need to talk about for you. And also, we're on Earth, and that necessarily always worked with money as a means to make sacred content actually physically flow. Therefore, I post the show notes in Patreon. Come over and enjoy. Have influence on the broadcasts. Don't miss out on the behind the scenes experience. Patreon.com/PEJ@Creative This month's Patreon subscriber action is, I have a very special service. It has brought a student in the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union 2 weeks after having undergone it. It is a bringing together of everything that my method offers in a compact and focused way. When you feel ready to truly go in, this is for you. Normally, this currently costs €444 ex VAT. For people that are not regular students inside of the year group course, Twin Flame Abundance Now, and half price for those inside of it. The special deal is that anyone can now go for the half price for those that are second tier Patreon members. Share this video with a friend because if you enjoyed it, they might too. Consider subscribing to my channel and like the video because it helps. I am Petra, in the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union since March 2020, worked with the Christ Masters on Earth right now to roll this consciousness state out so everyone can enjoy the abundant life with their true twin flame soon enough, after going in with me right here. Don't search any further. You reached what you were looking for. Om Amen.